I just, I have no words. I legitimately have no words. I'm speechless. This movie disturbed me so much, so let's talk about it. What's up, fellow horror nerds? Welcome back to another video here on the channel Royal Horror. As you know me, my name is Tiago, and thank you so much for clicking on this video, for wanting to spend some time with me talking about horror, and in this case talking about a brand new slasher released at the cinemas, coming out tomorrow, Terrifier 3. So happy Terrifier week, happy art clown festivities, activities, holidays, however you want to call it. What a better time to kick off the spooky season. I'm so glad that this movie came out like in October. It's the perfect time to release this kind of movies. So as horror fans, we are literally getting fed by like the horror directors of this movie, the creators of this movie, so let's just be thankful about it. And as the structure that I follow for this video is, I will talk about positives, I will talk about negatives, and in between. And at the end of the video, I will give my overall grade, and if I recommend this film overall to watch it at the cinemas or at home. So if that sounds good to you, please stay tuned, grab a snack, grab a drink, just relax. So as we know, Terrifier 3, released in 2024, follows Art the Clown setting to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of the Miles country as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. Now, I think that's the perfect synopsis for this film, because the less we know, the better. And so, we're talking about the spoiler-free section, and obviously let's just start talking about my positive things that I have to say about this film. And one of the main ones that I have to say is huge applause to Damien, the director of this movie, because obviously he directed the previous two, which I really love. The original Terrifier. That movie is literally one of the most disturbing films that I've seen. I included that movie in my like disturbing films that I've seen over Letterboxd. I love that movie so much because it made so much, like it accomplished so much. It scared me so much, having so little. And I think that movie deserves better because it's standing, I think, on a 2.4 on Letterboxd, and I think that's very low. And that movie always gets to me. Every time that I rewatch, I find it more and more disturbing. And with the second film, I have to say that for me is less scary or less disturbing than the first one, but just because Art the Clown, he's very goofy in the second one, and that's something that I don't really appreciate. And also I think because the second one took itself way too serious, especially because it's kind of a folk horror in a sense, but the movie doesn't have enough time to breathe to tell us on why is Art the Clown an entity and not an actual human being. But that's a topic for another day. Maybe I will, in the future, I will do a comparison of like all of the Terrifier films, maybe once the fourth one comes out. We're not here to talk about the first two films, we're here to talk about the brand new third film in this new trilogy and what's gonna be a franchise, because yes, the fourth one has been announced. I think the fourth one might come out in 2026 somehow. But we'll talk about that later on in the video. So with Terrifier 3, my positive aspects that I have to say, apart from like my applause for the director for making this film, for like accomplishing something so big and so huge, like based on just an indie film that came out almost a decade ago, that's huge. So you can tell the passion that he has for horror, you can tell the love that he has for the slashers. Like, I will be surprised if he says that slashers are not his favorite subgenre, because it shows. So I'm really glad that he's there, he's out there, he's making these films, he's given us to us the horror fans. So that's something that I will always appreciate, because it's not easy. And after watching this film, I do have to say that this film must have not been easy to make, because I was just speechless my whole time. I was like, what is going on? How did they do this, etc, etc. And that's something that I also felt in the previous two films, but in this film I was like, how? So the first, another few positive aspects that I have to give to this film, I think another one will be the Christmas setting. I think the Christmas setting was very cute for this film. I think it really served to have that contrast between Halloween when it comes to Art the Clown, the kills, and horror in general, taking place in Christmas. I love a good Christmas horror film, and this film will go as like a film that I would rewatch in every like Christmas season, because I really liked like the atmosphere. I love that all of the houses were decorated. I love that Christmas was actually like involved in the film, you know, like Art the Clown, he he interacts so much with like Santa Claus, with the children, which we're gonna get into that, and he like also like the festivities are really huge in these. Like we see a lot of like decorations inside the shopping mall, inside the house, so that's something that I appreciate, because I personally don't like when a film takes place in a festivity but the festivity is not really involved. For example, if you look at Texas Chainsaw 3D, believe it or not, that film is taking place on Halloween night, but Halloween is never explored in that film, and that's something I don't really appreciate. So huge pros for Terrifier 3 for involving Christmas as part of the storyline. I mean, it's not a secret that another positive aspect that I have to give to this film is the gore, the kills, the practical effects, because oh my god, like this film is one of the most, apart from disturbing, it's one of the goriest films that I've seen, and trust me, I'm a slasher fan. I love slasher films, but this film was something else, and I do have to say that the practical effects, they looked too good. They look fantastic, they look so good, even though it's a bit over the top, but it's fine. Like, it's Art the Clown, like what are you expecting? But like the blood looked phenomenal, and that was a huge upgrade from the sequel actually, because I personally, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I personally didn't like the blood in the second film because it looked too pink. But in this film it looks like they listened to the negative reviews from the second one, and the blood here looks phenomenal. The kills are so creative, like every single kill is different one from the other, like there is no similar kills, they all are kind of over the top. Like if I could do a ranking, maybe I will do a ranking of the Terrifier kills, because like they're just so fantastic. And I do have to say, like everything got to me, like every single kill really got into my skin, and maybe that's why this movie was very disturbing, because even though I'm a slasher fan, even though I love slasher films, it's not that the gore is disturbing for me, even though it's a disturbing aspect in horror, but it's just the way that Terrifier was doing it, you know, because obviously Art the Clown, he is so evil, he is so like, his happiness while killing someone really gets to me. And because, for example, if you compare it to films like Halloween or Friday the 13th or The Collector, so you don't really see the happiness behind those killers while killing their victims. But with Terrifier, he's smiling, he's laughing, he is humiliating the victims, he is harassing the victims. That really gets to me, and especially because the kills in this movie, apart from being graphic, they have so much psychology behind. And I know that might sound like I'm exaggerating, but when I was watching this film, I could really like feel what the characters were feeling while being killed by Art the Clown, especially in that opening. Let's talk about the opening, because the opening is another huge positive aspect for this film. This opening is one of the most disturbing openings that I've seen in horror for the last couple of years, because when I tell you again that the movie knew how to combine the happiness and the warmness from Christmas with horror, this opening is the reason why I'm saying this, because like it was a happy family. It was on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, but Art the Clown is there and a lot of chaos happens. Obviously I'm not gonna go into detail, but it was very disturbing. Like that opening scene really got to me. It was beautifully done. That opening could just work as a short film, like it could just be a standalone short film, and it's something that I will do. Like me as myself as a filmmaker, that kind of opening is something that I will do in the future or something, because as you know me, home invasions are my favorite subgenre in horror, and this opening shows and gives me the reason why that's my favorite subgenre, because it was just so disturbing. And this might be unpopular, but I find home invasions very disturbing because I think it's one of the most realistic subgenres in horror. So the fact that the opening of this film was a home invasion, that was amazing. And the way that it was done, again we go back to the gore, it was everything. And the fact that the movie was not scared to go there, even though that might be a critique that I might find, but the movie knew when to stop its limits, because there is children involved, and although they cross the limits, they don't cross them that much, but still it got me disturbing, especially because also the acting on that opening, especially from the mother, the screams, watching this at the cinemas was something else. like I'm obsessed with that opening. Like when I rewatch this film, I will need to prepare myself mentally for watching this opening. Another positive aspect that I have to say is obviously the acting from our main cast, like Sienna, let's talk about Sienna. Sienna was incredible. Like she's gonna be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, final girl of the 2020s, because my god, the things this woman goes through, especially with that finale, like huge pros for the actress, because you could tell that most of the stuff that happened, it was herself without a stunt double. So huge pros, because that must have been so painful. But obviously the stuff that she goes through both mentally and physically, and I think this movie knew how to show the final girl like therapy, or like the final girl consequences after something bad happened to them, you know, because that's not something you see that often in horror films, especially in all horror films, where you see the trauma from final girls. Scream 6 did that with Sam, which is amazing, and they also did this here with Sienna, compared to the second film. So I really bought that she was traumatized with what happened to her in the second film, and that's something that I have to give pros to that, because I love to see real characters. I love to see characters that are going through a normal and humanistic phase of trauma, and I think Terrifier 3 really accomplished that with Sienna. And also I really like her as a character. I think she feels human, she feels like someone that you could meet on the street, she feels like someone that could be your friend. Like I bought her as this big cousin to the little girl, and I like that she has one scene specifically where she's crying because obviously her mom got killed on the previous film, and like her friends and all of that, and I really bought her. Like that breakdown she has there was amazing. So the mental issues that she has in this film was really well explored, apart from like the whole chaos and interaction that she has with Art the Clown, because that was also phenomenal. Another positive aspect that I have to give to this film is obviously our clown, our king, Art. I didn't realize that this wasn't in the screen, so apologies. But another positive aspect that I have to give to this film is Art the Clown, because he was just that guy. Honestly, I have no words to describe how I feel about this killer, because like I said before, I love slasher films, but this clown is just something else. Like this guy, like the actor behind this character is incredible, especially because the way he moves his face, his eyes, the mouth, the hands, the way that he changes his expressions so often and out of nowhere, that's really disturbing. Like this character right there is very, very disturbing, and that's all thanks to the acting from the actor, because the facial expressions, they work so well, especially because he never talks. It's all of his body movements, his facial movements, and I think that's so well accomplished, because it really got to me. I was very disturbed in this film with Art the Clown, so huge props for that, because he was terrifying, and obviously Terrifier, that's the name, but he was terrifying. He really got to me. Like after watching this film, I had to take like a long walk, because I needed to take like some fresh air after the cinemas, because he kept appearing in my mind. So huge props for that. Another, maybe this would be underrated because I don't see many people talking about it, but I think her name is Vicky. But obviously the victim from the first film, she was in the second film and she was in this film. I really like that we saw her more in this film, because I think she's very, very disturbing. She's very, very scary. Like obviously her face, the practical effects on her face, the way she moves, the way that she doesn't feel anything anymore, so she does whatever. She has a very disturbing scene on the top where I had to do this because I was just very, very disturbed. She also has a scene where she gets turned on by Art the Clown, and something happens in that scene with a razor, so she does stuff to herself. That was so disturbing. Like, how did the director come up with this? Like, I need to know, because I was just very I was just very uncomfortable watching her, and her presence overall is very uncomfortable. Like she might even be at the same level as Art the Clown, as uncomfortable. I think another positive aspect that I have to give is the lighting. Obviously the cinematography of this film is gorgeous. Like the the whole set design, the shots. I love that the movie works so well with the camera, especially with the kills. Again, especially on that opening, or especially in the shower scene. I really liked all of those interactions between the film and the camera, and also the editing, the score, the sound design. Like, when it comes to the sound design, it's one of the best sound designs that I've heard this year, because obviously because of the kills and the screams, it really gets to you, and that's also thanks to the sound design and the editing, because maybe the kill could have been amazing, but without a good sound design, the movie will be very, very off. So huge props for that. Like, this movie is a really beautiful filmmaking piece. And I think the last positive aspect that I have to give of this film is the storyline, but this will be also in the negative aspect. But when it comes to the storyline, I honestly felt it smooth. Like, I was okay with the storyline because we were following Sienna, we were following Art the Clown, so it was cool, you know. I'm glad that the movie didn't like focus too much on one character and forgetting the other character, although that's something we will talk about in negatives. But yeah, the storyline, I was entertained, I was intrigued what was happening with Sienna, where was she, and the fact that Art the Clown was also having his own storyline in the film, and obviously they come across at the end. So yeah, I really like the storyline, and that's something that people are critiquing, but honestly I was okay with it. I didn't feel the runtime of this film, maybe that's because I was watching it at the cinemas, but I'm okay with it. I didn't feel the 2 hours, and maybe it's because I was very interested with the storyline, or maybe it's because I was feeling very, very disturbed. Talking about the negative aspects around this film, I think the main one will have to be that I don't know why the little brother, he doesn't really have screen time in this film. Like, he doesn't like do anything, he doesn't do much, like he doesn't even face Art the Clown, and I don't know why. Like, it's weird because obviously he also went to trauma in the previous film, like his mom also died, like he got attacked by Art the Clown, so I'm really surprised that they didn't really use him in this film. So I don't really know why, because it's not like he is a huge actor that couldn't be booked for this film, you know. Like, he's also new in the genre in film, so I'm surprised that he was not really used in Terrifier 3. Another critique that I have to give to this movie is, in a few scenes, in a few parts, it felt like it was a dream sequence. It didn't really feel that it was happening on present time, and especially like with the climax of the film, for the most of the time, I felt like that was a dream sequence, but it was not. And maybe that goes to the editing, because obviously I shouldn't have felt that I was seeing a dream sequence when in reality it was the present day. So yeah, that took me out of the film, because the whole time I was thinking, I hope this isn't a dream sequence. Please don't tell me this is a dream sequence, because I would have been mad. But I'm glad it wasn't a dream sequence, but I didn't like that I felt that it was a dream sequence for like 10 minutes. Another critique that I have to give to this film is that, like, obviously I loved Art the Clown, I loved Vicky, I think it's the name of the other woman, and I love them. Even though I love them, I did think that the movie has a lot of like extra scenes for the sake of having Art the Clown killing people, when it doesn't really add much, which I'm okay with it. But I did think we spent so much time in different scenes with Art the Clown just being a killer, when I wish we could have spent more time with him, with our victims, not just in the finale. For example, there is one scene where he goes into this pub and he sees Santa Claus, the bartender, and another guy, and we spent roughly 20 minutes, almost half an hour in that scene with those characters, and honestly for nothing, because they are not part of the storyline, they're just there, they come across Art. But yeah, like, I do wish the film didn't really have so many scenes just for the sake of making this film longer, so Art the Clown could kill more people, so we can have more like body counts. Because if it doesn't add anything, maybe we could just have like 1 or 2 of them, but we have quite a few scenes of like with Art the Clown and characters that we don't really care about. Yeah, those are my overall thoughts of this film. Obviously I wanted to do this review completely spoiler free, because I think, like, obviously this movie is brand new, but if you want to talk with the spoilers with me, obviously I will leave my Instagram down in the description below. You can leave a comment and we can talk with the spoilers, just like have a warning about it. But overall, I absolutely recommend this movie, watching this movie at the cinemas. I think it's the best place to watch this movie. I'm so glad that this movie like got approved to be screened at cinemas, because oh my god, I honestly thought that it was not gonna be after watching it because of how disturbing and graphic it was. And obviously I gave this movie 4 out of 5. I gave this movie 8 out of 10, and the community so far is feeling good about it. When it comes to the previous 2 films, the community feels 50-50. I will leave like a few comments that people left me about the previous 2 films, and overall I'm enjoying this trilogy. However, I do wish that the director will focus on something else now, because I think we can leave this book, this chapter of Art the Clown behind, because we already have a trilogy. Do we need the 4th one? No. Will I be sitting down for it? Absolutely. But I do wish the director will use that money, will use that time, will use those resources to make something else, to make a different slasher, a unique slasher, instead of giving us another Terrifier film. Although I like this trilogy, I own the first 2, I will own these. However, yeah, I do wish that this was it, but we will need to wait and see. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about it? Do you enjoy Terrifier 3? I wouldn't be surprised if people are not gonna be enjoying these, which by the way, I do have to say, like, around 7 people walked out of my theater, so if that says something to you, there we go. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this film, and really hope that you enjoyed this review. We will talk in the next video. Please be safe out there. We will talk soon. Have a nice end of the week. Bye bye.